Governments, a regional planning. We are the Naugatuck+Valley Council of Governments, a regional planning organization serving 19 municipalities in West Central Connecticut. Thank you so much for coming to our quarterly Environmental Sustainability Forum. Today's topic, as you know, is commercial waste solutions. And I just wanted to go over a couple of little housekeeping things. First of all, we will obviously be recording this presentation. Please note that these two little guys here, the owls, are going to be recording visual and audio. If you are in the back of the room and wanted to comment, you might just want to stand up and move a little closer so it can pick up for the virtual attendees. Today's lunch has been provided by Nardelli's in Waterbury. With mindfulness of our mission to promote environmental sustainability, this lunch is 100% vegan. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us virtually and in person. We're so grateful that you're invested in a sustainable solution to the serious challenges we're facing when it comes to managing our waste. The waste capacity crisis in Connecticut has made headlines this year with the closure of NERA, which is our state's largest trash incinerator. According to a feature in Connecticut Magazine's April 2022 edition, about 33% of Connecticut's trash is expected to be exported to other states once the shutdown is complete. This is going to result in higher hauling fees for our business community and environmental justice issues from sending our garbage to someone else's backyard. So this forum is designed to inform businesses what solutions are available to reduce or divert commercial waste, and to educate our community partners on how to provide support for these businesses. So with that, I'll turn it over to our Director of Planning, Josh Carr.
I just very quickly want to thank everybody as well for coming and encourage you to look out in your emails for future forum topics, which I think will also be of great interest. And just very quickly to also thank Christine for all her hard work in organizing the topic and making all the logistics happen. So let's just give us a quick applause. With that, we'll get on to the rest of the meeting.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. I would like to introduce Jen Heaton Jones. If you do anything in the waste management field, I'm sure you know her. She's a bit of a rock star here in Connecticut, and she is from HRRA, Housatonic Resources Recovery Authority. She's going to start by setting the stage, and with that, I'll turn it over to Jen.
Can you hear me? Okay, great. Thanks, Anna. Good morning, everyone. As Christina mentioned, I'm Jen Heaton Jones. I'm the Executive Director of the HRRA. We are a regional governmental recycling and waste management authority serving 14 municipalities in Western Connecticut. And I hope I will address the problem and challenges we are facing in Connecticut when it comes to material management and how businesses play a role. Most importantly, I do hope I will inspire you to take action. So let's start with the waste crisis. Yes, we are on the edge of that crisis, and Christine has mentioned it before. Connecticut generates more waste than we have capacity to manage within our borders. The Hartford's Mirror Waste Energy Plant is expected to close in the coming months, and that will reduce significant capacity for material management. However, signs of the solid waste crisis actually began showing in 2021, even within the HRRA region. This is an image from our major transfer station located in Danbury in July of 2021. Our waste goes to Bridgeport, and the Bridgeport Waste to Energy Plant's unexpected outages from their own aging plant backed up solid waste in Danbury and forced our contracted disposal company to ship waste to out-of-state landfills. And they were forced to apply for an emergency permit with Connecticut Deep due to the crisis. If our Danbury transfer station that takes in an average of 800 tons of waste a day from residents and businesses were to shut down, our local 70 local haulers throughout the 14 municipalities would be hard pressed to find a place to take that waste, which would result in a stop of everyone's waste collected. And that's a serious problem. No one wants waste sitting around, especially in the summer months, and especially if you're a food service business or have any form of organic waste that you're producing. Standing waste can create health and safety issues. So we are at a crossroads in Connecticut. And so how can we achieve a more sustainable system to collect, process, and dispose of our waste into the future? Why should businesses care? Every business generates waste. For some, it may only be waste paper or cardboard. For others, it might be food waste or a byproduct to manufacturing, hazardous or toxic waste that requires special handling and disposal. Whatever the type or volume of waste your company generates, it is all the same in one respect. It's costing you money. And in fact, you're paying for it twice. One, when you buy it, and second time when you're throwing it away. And the bottom line is that preventing waste will save you money. By consuming and throwing away less, we will reduce the need to handle, treat, and dispose of waste. Waste prevention can take many forms, including purchasing durable, long-lasting materials, striving to eliminate raw materials that are not incorporated into your final product or service as a business, using products that are free of toxic materials, reducing the amount of packaging, conserving water and or energy, implementing in-process recycling. Many waste prevention efforts, such as two-sided printing and using email in place of printed copies, are inexpensive and simple to implement as a business, often involving only a change in attitude or work procedures. Waste prevention is a business strategy from which any company, regardless of your size or your type, can benefit. In addition to cost savings, it can also help you improve worker safety, reduce liability, and enhance your image in the community. So furthermore, if the waste you are eliminating or reducing is regulated under state or federal law, and your reductions are significant enough, you might even be able to avoid costly permits and government approval. So the unwanted and discarded. The waste stream is a complex system of generators, transporters, transfer stations, processors, and disposal facilities. Our generators range from single-family households, multifamily units, apartment buildings to complexes and private communities, small businesses, restaurants, corporations, retailers, casinos, hospitals, schools, universities, nursing homes, and so on, every day generating millions of tons of waste in Connecticut. Managing one waste is not as simple as just deciding which bin to use, as though there are only two options, trash or recycling. It's much more complicated and inconvenient than that. There are many waste streams. There's solid waste, construction and demo, organics, textiles, recycling, electronic waste, mattresses, hazardous waste, medical waste, industrial waste, and so on. And the truth is, we have a problem even beyond capacity in the state of Connecticut. We have a problem with where it's coming from and the choices being made before it ever even enters the waste stream. It's important to recognize that waste is local. The success of any program is dependent on your residents and business owners' buy-in and behavior. There's only one planet Earth, yet by 2050, the world will be consuming as if there were three. Global consumption of materials such as biomass, fossil fuels, metals, and minerals is expected to double in the next 40 years, while annual waste generation is projected to increase by 70% by 2050. This was published by the European Commission in their Circular Economy Action Report. So solid waste management is a universal issue that affects every single person in every business in the world. Think about that for one moment. No matter your financial status or your ethnic origin, every single person generates trash. Not every person owns a home or has children or owns animals, drives a car, uses public transportation, but everyone in every business does generate solid waste, and it must be managed. To the insurance company in the corner generating paper, to the coffee shop that has coffee grounds, cups, and other waste, to the popcorn manufacturer packaging and their byproducts, the waste must be managed. That shouldn't mean one giant dumpster out back. A responsible business is considering the environment and managing their waste into the appropriate stream. And did you know that recycling is mandatory in Connecticut? Everyone must recycle. That includes residents, whether living in a single or multifamily building, every business, including nonprofits, and all public and private agencies and institutions. It's the law. Now, think about this. No matter which generator you represent, the resident, the business, the consumer, the schools, the municipality, we put the trash out and we forget about it. We don't worry where it will go, just when will it go? We are disconnected from the material once it is no longer wanted. So if we are truly going to take a comprehensive approach to solid waste management in Connecticut, we need to look beyond traditional trash and recycling and face the challenges. Businesses must take a role in addressing the waste crisis too. As I mentioned before, capacity is an issue. We have the aging and looming closure of Mears waste-to-energy plant that's ultimately reducing significant capacity to manage waste generated within the state. The World Bank estimates global waste will grow by 70% by 2050 without action taken. Driven by rapid urbanization and growing population, global annual waste generation is expected to jump from 3.4 billion tons over the next 30 years, up from 2 billion tons in 2016, the report finds. The fact is, and will remain, everyone makes waste. It's not going to stop, it's going to grow, and therefore we must address the capacity issue. The Connecticut DEP 2015 characterization study determined that Connecticut's businesses are responsible for generating 42% of the total waste stream in Connecticut. This excludes construction and demo. That's another number. So another reality, and perhaps can be considered a challenge, is who owns and operates these facilities? Where are the trash haulers taking your material? And what is it costing you? Waste is a billion-dollar industry. Small towns and local hauling businesses across Connecticut aren't just going to solve the problem by just solving where the material goes, but who controls it. Large investment firms have purchased and now operate our waste-to-energy plants. And what does that mean for future tip fees should be considered? So the reality of what we are facing is not just what to do with the material, but how we get generators, residents, and businesses to change their behavior, to do the right thing and improve the system. We are not going to reach every resident or business. We will not change every individual business in what they believe, but I do believe we can reach the majority. Human behavior plays a large role in the success of any of the programs or so-called solutions we implement into the future. Customer demands for more sustainable practices hopefully will continue to influence the behavior of businesses. And at the same time, the consumer needs to be prepared to pay higher costs in order for the business to implement sustainable practices. So it's time for us to turn directions from crisis to opportunity. So in our current economy, we take materials from the earth, we make products from them, and eventually throw them away as waste. The process is linear. The circular economy is a model of production and consumption which involves sharing, leasing, reusing, repairing, refurbishing, and recycling existing materials and products as long as possible. The Ellen MacArthur Foundation has great resources pertaining to this subject. In a circular economy, by contrast, we stop waste being produced in the first place. The circular economy is based on 3 principles driven by design: eliminate waste and pollution, circulate products and materials at their highest value, and regenerate nature. It is underpinned by a tradition to renewable energy and materials. A circular economy decouples economic activity from the consumption of finite resources. It is a resilient system that is good for business, people, and the environment. Institutions, governments, and local authorities develop and set policy laws and other support mechanisms, including public procurement, that can foster innovation and decouple growth from finite resource consumption and environmental degradation. I never say that word very well. They have great examples on how international bodies and public officials are collaborating to enable the circular economy to grow in different regions of the world. And I really highly recommend you review their resources. Again, it's all from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. So let's talk about waste reduction and source reduction. Waste reduction is waste that never gets created and doesn't have waste management costs. That's important for a business. And source reduction, reducing the amount of materials entering the waste stream from a specific source by redesigning products. Another important point for any business, particularly if you're a manufacturing business. Now think about our current goal to build a solution around waste reduction. What does that mean? It means we need to look beyond waste disposal as just waste to energy or landfilling and consider alternative methods of managing material that includes reuse, repurpose, repair, remanufacture, recycling. The items we dispose of are resources. They're not just waste. It really is a change in attitude. So how do we build relationships between consumers and manufacturers and businesses? We make them share the responsibility of disposal and cost through EPR, extended producer responsibility. We build a more circular economy. How do we truly reduce our waste stream? Maybe we need to pull it apart and build stronger source separation programs, organic programs, textile programs, the source separation of glass like we've done in HRA, continuing to enhance the bottle bill. How do we pay for it? Requiring the generator to pay for the volume by units forces the individual business to reevaluate the volume of material they dispose of. Unit-based pricing is achievable, but it will take political will and the will of our businesses to want to take that on. Recycling right increases the value of the material and it reduces costs. So let's think outside the box and see what others are doing to improve their system. Learn from those who have explored and created new programs. So let's address food waste. With food waste comprising of 20 to 30% of the waste stream, removing food waste is a low-lying fruit, especially for businesses. There are many options to help us divert and manage food waste. Quantum Biopower AD facility is one. You will hear from Blue Earth shortly on how they are part of this circular economy model of collecting food waste and bringing this material to a facility such as Quantum and turning the waste into renewable and beneficial products. And beyond AD facilities, we have local small businesses that are serving large and small food waste generators, such as New England Compost in Danbury, Connecticut. They are an outdoor windrow composting facility providing organic certified compost and mulch to local landscaping and agricultural businesses across the region. Jeff from New England Compost provides waste solutions for local grocery stores and other small businesses that generate food waste. With support and partnership with local businesses, the HRA has created a new model. We did start with our first municipal curbside collection of its kind in 2013 that collected from residents and local businesses. And from there, we developed municipal drop-off programs that have been mimicked across the state and into New York. We have taken the municipal drop-off program to the next level with on-site composting with our leaf pile. And we received a USDA grant in 2021 to construct a solar-powered ASP. It's an aerated static pile system. The system will demonstrate the municipalities can create a closed-loop sustainable composting system to manage food waste locally, reducing the carbon footprint of off-site disposal and contributing to the waste diversion goals of the state. This project will increase access to compost for residential, community garden groups, and local farmers without relying on synthetic fertilizers, and empower municipalities and businesses to use readily available compost for stormwater management and soil erosion. What's also important to consider is that it's a great, as these organic collection programs are, and the opportunities are, it's only as successful as much as we can convince the generators, the homeowners, and the small and large businesses to source separate those organics. We need to consider stronger legislation and source separation mandates. So no matter the end markets or final destination for material, it starts with the people and the business owners. Willing to do the right thing, it's a cultural change. It's a shift in behavior and attitude. What motivates people ultimately is their wallets. If it costs too much, they reject the change. If it doesn't cost anything, they take advantage. At the business level, the first question when proposing a new program or an idea for waste reduction is, what is it going to cost? Not what's the environmental impact. So as we navigate our way through these crossroads, we need strong business leadership. We need to build partnerships that allow programs to be economically sustainable while being environmentally conscious. Lastly, how do you get started? You can make waste prevention a routine part of any daily business. Just like worker safety and customer satisfaction, a little time and effort can go a long way towards success by following these basic steps provided by the EPA. And there's a lot more information for businesses through the EPA on suggestions on how to get started, but here's a few. Start small, target 1 or 2 materials for reduction, focus first on ideas that require minimal capital investment, and involve all the employees in planning and implementation, and listen to your customers. 1, determine what waste you generate. Examine all your waste streams, including processed waste, hazardous waste, non-hazardous waste, solid waste, and office waste. Look in your trash cans and your dumpsters to determine what materials are being thrown away. Identify the waste prevention measures. Evaluate all waste for possible reduction. Determine how you can reduce each waste. Evaluate your purchasing policies and determine what you can reuse. Identify potential production changes. And then set your priorities and goals. Prioritize waste prevention opportunities by considering cost, ease of implementation, payback, and other benefits such as increased employee safety. Try focusing on a few opportunities that are easy to implement, have low capital investment, save you money, and reduce large volumes of waste. Set attainable goals such as reducing office paper by 25% or reducing your waste hauling and disposal costs. I will end with what I started in the beginning. The waste stream is a complex system of generators, transporters, transfer stations, processors, and disposal facilities. To date, we have worked autonomously from each other, just doing our thing. It's time to dive deep into the problem and understand the real issues facing us. And it won't be easy and it won't be free, but doing nothing isn't an option. With that, here's a quick slide on my contact information, and I'm going to move it over to the next presenter.
Jen, thank you so much. That was absolutely fabulous. Yeah, I kind of want to give that a round of applause. That was really good. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate how you put this in perspective, gave us the macro, what's happening on the global scale, and the micro, what can you do to get started as a business? I'd like to turn it over to, and I hope I say this right, Anna, is it Valenti?
Very close, Valente.
Valente.
Yeah,
so Anna works for the Center for Eco-Technology. CET has been contracted by DEEP to start helping businesses make the sort of shifts that Jen was talking about. So Anna has a great presentation for us about what's available to you right now through DEEP.
Yes, hello everyone. Can you see my presentation okay? Awesome. So hi everyone, I am Anna Valente. Thank you for that introduction, Christine. And today I am going to tell you a little bit about our Connecticut Waste Assistance that is currently available at no cost for businesses and institutions. Our organization, the Center for Eco-Technology, is a nonprofit that helps people and businesses save energy and reduce waste. For over 40 years, we have helped businesses and institutions implement programs on the ground while simultaneously contributing to and implementing effective public policy focused on these efforts. CET can now provide additional waste reduction solutions for Connecticut businesses and institutions. This support is delivered under contract with Connecticut DEEP and includes identifying waste prevention and reuse strategies, expanding recycling collection efforts, and diversion of food scraps. This service is available at no cost to businesses and provides a wide range of opportunities to help your business implement waste reduction strategies, such as donating surplus food to food recovery programs, developing a program to recover food scraps, and identify options including animal feed, composting, and anaerobic digestion, identifying alternatives to single-use items, and identifying how to handle hard-to-recycle materials such as electronics, fluorescent light bulbs, pallets, construction materials, and a suite of other materials. And our contact information is on this slide. We're pretty easy to find with a quick Google. So what can you expect from our service? Through our support, we can provide hands-on technical assistance where we work directly with the business or institution to understand what materials are currently being generated, uncover opportunities for waste reduction, reuse, and diversion. And we also help identify potential cost savings and next steps. This can include support for employee training, development of waste bin signs, as well as direct assistance through every step of the process. And local governments are encouraged to share this technical assistance opportunity with businesses and institutions in your area to help support your local diversion and recycling goals. The Center for Ecotechnology can help you navigate state-level waste regulations, such as the mandated recycling laws in Connecticut. Did you know that Connecticut has a list of materials that are mandated for recycling? Part of the list includes items that you would find in mixed recycling, sometimes known as single stream recycling, but it's usually referred to as mixed in Connecticut. Other materials include commercial food waste, scrap metal, and yard waste. And you can find a complete list of these mandated recycling materials on Connecticut DEEP's website. Another state level regulation that we can help your business or institution navigate is Public Act 1087, which requires haulers to offer parallel trash and recycling services. Public Act 1087 also prohibits haulers from instructing their customers to mix trash and recyclables. So as your business looks to set up or enhance a recycling program, we can help you plan out collection areas, share signage, and support staff training. CET will also help you establish the tools and resources needed to get up to compliance with your state regulations, including the ability to know your waste streams and how to handle them, how to communicate effectively with your hauler and stakeholders, signage to create an effective waste collection system that limits contamination. And again, we can provide training materials for staff members to learn how to navigate any changes in your business or institution's waste system. CET's goal is not only to help businesses and institutions in Connecticut, but to support the entire marketplace as the state seeks to grow alternatives to incineration and landfilling, which goes back to what the first presenter was talking about the state's capacity to handle its waste at the moment. Our Connecticut Guidance for Contracting Waste Services document provides tips for navigating contract discussions with your hauler. That is available if you contact us. I believe it's also on our Connecticut Work website. Through our services, we can leverage knowledge about the marketplace to increase activity that is beneficial for the whole community. Businesses that receive support tend to improve the quality of their recycling streams and find that they increase materials diversion. Sometimes this might include signs and staff training, like I keep mentioning, because it's very important. That helps clear up any confusion about acceptable items when you're handling different waste streams. It's kind of easy to, get confused when you have 3+ waste streams going on in one business. But luckily, there are some really awesome resources available to you right now. This being one of them. This is the Recycle Connecticut website. This is one of my favorites. I also use this while I'm working with businesses. It might be familiar to some of us. This is actually the main page of the Recycle Connecticut website. Also very easy to find. It's called the Recycle Wizard. Very fun name. You can type any item into the search bar and the wizard will tell you if and how it is recyclable. And this is state specific, would just like to reiterate. As we know, there are many recyclable items out there. They just aren't always included in your mixed recycling bin. So this tool can help you, for electronics, random household appliances. This recycling wizard can help you figure out how to properly handle those materials. And this is an example of CET's waste signage. We provide these templates as PDFs, and we can also help customize them to each business. Specifically, the images included on the signs, the text. If you want, say your business does not handle glass and you want glass to be removed out of the mixed recycling sign, we can do that. So you can really help tailor it and really make it as clear as possible for your personal waste system. Accurate and clear signage is a very crucial step when implementing a new waste program or making changes to an existing one. Waste bin signs should communicate a very clear message of what is and is not accepted in each waste stream to reduce the likelihood for contamination. Contamination is a very big challenge when trying to recycle material. So it's really important that you give every user of the waste system the best shot possible to be able to not contaminate your bins. And we also have these sign templates available in different languages. Excuse me. This is an example of one of our food scrap signs translated into Spanish. It's very important that your waste system is fully accessible to all users, and that includes, language. We want everyone to understand what goes and does not go in each bin. And it's very important that we like to take a look at, holistically take a look at your waste instead of just honing in on one stream, because it is all very intertwined. Ensuring proper recycling and diversion procedures are in place can impact your whole waste program, especially if you partake in food waste separation and collection. This is an example of our facilities materials management plan. It's kind of a tongue twister. This is a printable consolidation point for info regarding your waste streams throughout your facility. For example, you can list, each stream out: mixed recycling, food waste for composting, surplus food for donation, trash, etc. And this is a fillable PDF document so that you are able to write in how you want to prepare each material, and then your entire staff can just refer back to this plan so that it's easier to use the system and be successful in diverting materials. For example, for cardboard, you would want to include in the management plan: flatten it, place it in your hampers, then bring it outside to the dumpster where the hauler will pick it up. For food scraps, you'd list out the same type of instructions. You can also add photos and locations of indoor bins if you wish. So you can really get as detailed as you want, especially if you have a very large facility and you kind of have bins scattered all over the place. These are really helpful to remind your material movers, what goes where, make sure they don't forget bins when they're taking the trash out for the day, etc. And our strategy for our technical assistance, specifically for food waste, follows the US EPA food recovery hierarchy, in which various diversion strategies are prioritized. At the top, we have the highest priority of source reduction, or preventing food waste before it is generated. Next, we want food that's still edible to actually be eaten. We can help businesses establish donation outlets for their unserved edible surplus food. Next would be to divert wasted food for animal feed, then anaerobic digestion to create energy. And last but certainly not least, before trash disposal, is diverting wasted food to composting to create a nutrient-rich soil amendment. And the Center for Ecotechnology can help your business at any level of this hierarchy. And often our customized recommendations will include solutions at multiple steps of the hierarchy. So, don't know where to begin with your food waste program, or want to get a better idea of how much food waste you are generating? Start by using this food waste estimation guide. This tool compiles sector-specific data that can be used as a starting point to determine how much food waste a business generates. The numbers you get are not an end-all be-all by any means. It should be used to create a better idea of how much you might have. For example, restaurants that serve 1,000 meals per week or 18 full-time equivalent employees may generate about half a ton per week of food waste. A visualization of half a ton per week is about 2 65-gallon carts of food scraps picked up 2 times a week. Of course, this depends on the mix of food scraps and how heavy or light the food scraps are, etc. but it helps determine if your business would be subjected to mandatory food waste recycling laws in Connecticut. Food businesses may already be using strategies to prevent food waste. If not, we are able to provide an entire set of strategies to meet you where you are and maybe take your program to the next level. The first step in source reduction is conducting a self-analysis to really understand where wasted food comes from at your business and why. You can do this analysis by following various methods that range in level of detail. You can kind of tailor it to, staff available to help you do this, large or small operation, etc. Including you can use technology platforms to measure, record, and track wasted food. There's a bunch of different types of software out there too, if you really want to get fancy with it. A more informal method, like using a pen and paper to track where and when waste occurs, can also be used to assess and then modify your business's practices. Some examples of where food would be wasted, and therefore, what the generation points in your business, I guess is a better phrase to use. Some of those generation points would be prep stations in your kitchen, surplus spoilage from storage, and customers' leftovers. Some real life examples of source reduction strategies that CET has helped its clients implement. A hotel changed their buffet trays from 4 inches to 2 inches in depth to make the buffet look fuller and more appealing, which also limited the amount of food left over when the buffet ended. The University of Massachusetts uses its pineapple and cucumber cores to make flavored waters. Great repurposing example right there. And the University of Rhode Island reduced their food waste by using TV monitors in their cafeteria, so the cooks in the kitchen could see the crowd or lack thereof and then portion accordingly. They also have done a better job of diverting food that was in the warmer to be repurposed into other meals. My slide does not want to change. I just went back. Okay. Apologies. All right, and next, after source reduction, we get into donation. Each day, businesses throw away thousands of pounds of food that could instead feed hungry people. There are tax incentives and liability protections for businesses that donate food to nonprofits. Another benefit of donating from a business perspective is donating food can help save money by reducing your trash disposal costs and food waste disposal costs. If you have ever wondered about food donation in the past but don't know where to start, we have plenty of resources for you to get you going. Did you know that there are federal and state liability protections for businesses that donate wholesome foods in good faith? The HFLPC fact sheets provide clarity on some of these additional protections. Recently, Connecticut passed an act concerning food donation that is effective on October 1st, 2022, and expands current laws, criminal and civil liability protections for entities donating food to also cover food relief organizations and supermarket donations. It also creates a task force to study implementing an in-state supermarket food donation program. Very cool. In general, entities that are already in the business of preparing and serving food for public consumption are already practicing the measures necessary to easily adopt safe food donation. Food donation and source reduction are usually free to do, and you get I like to say, the biggest bang for your buck, because source reduction and food donation provides opportunities for cost savings, improving your performance, and reducing your environmental footprint. Some basics for food donation. You want to make sure that all foods are clearly labeled and include ingredient lists. You'd want to confirm with your donation outlet that your donations are included on their accepted materials list. Explore different kinds of outlets to determine a good match for your business. For example, a food bank differs from a soup kitchen, and some outlets have labor to pick up donations, some are drop off only, etc. And do not include spoiled foods in your donations. In addition to prevention and donation strategies, businesses and institutions can practice source separation to divert remaining food waste to animal feed, anaerobic digesters, or composting sites. We can help you review and understand these options, as well as setting up a successful source separation program in your kitchen and throughout your facility. And lastly, just wanted to share some resources that CET developed that you can share with your business. We have guidance on compliance tips for any local regulations you may be subject to, help you find solutions for packaging waste. We can provide case studies so that you can see past success stories. We have plenty of guidance documents and more info about our recycling assistance. We developed some state-specific resources that you can find at centerforecotechnology.org/Connecticut Waste Assistance. It's listed at the bottom of this slide. And that would be food waste reduction made easy in Connecticut, food donation made easy in Connecticut, food waste separation made easy in Connecticut, Connecticut guidance for contracting waste services, and reducing waste from restaurant takeout in Connecticut. Thank you all very much for joining us today again. I encourage you to take a few moments after today's event to review some of these materials. This support is a great tool if you have recycling questions and a program that you want to hone, or if you are just wondering where to get started. If you have any questions about anything I mentioned during this presentation, please feel free to reach out. I will turn it over.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Anna.
Thank you.
That's fantastic, especially after hearing about the enormity of this issue. It's nice to know that every business in Connecticut has access to this free technical assistance, these customized plans that can help you get started. So don't sit on this offer. It's a good one. Be sure to make that phone call and get started.
Thanks, Christine.
Yeah, thank you. So we have heard a lot about food waste, and that's because it's a significant part of the waste stream that can be diverted. So with that, I'd like to introduce Sam King from Blue Earth Compost. He's here with us in person today. We're going to have you stand up, and we're going to try to make sure this thing picks you up. So if you could.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can I be heard and seen? All good on that? Those fronts?
Maybe a little zoomed out. Oh, there we go. Well. So I'm
You
gonna.
might not get to see the top half of my head, but all right, you're getting the my rock hard abs.
All right.
Also, are we running any short on time? Should I try and
No,
run through
no.
this a little quicker?
We have allotted about half an hour at the end for discussion and questions, but if we run a little over, I'm sure that's no issue.
Good
So
to know.
let me-
I'm gonna try and keep my comments brief anyways, because I think that my co-presenters did a fantastic job setting it up. Jen is a impressive leader in this field. She went over the context very, very well, so we can kind of understand the depth of the program of the problem. And just like Christine said, really take advantage of CET. They have a wealth of resources, very passionate and experienced people. I'm here to talk to you today about sort of where the rubber hits the road with organics. And that's a bit of a pun because Blue Earth Compost is a hauler. We've been a food scrap hauler. First slide. Has been a food scrap hauler since 2013. We were started out of the back of a Volkswagen. It was just a family-owned company with the idea that somebody needed to be the tip of the spear on this issue. There were no businesses that you could talk to about being able to compost your food scraps if you weren't able to do that at home. So we started in West Hartford and have built it step by step, person by person, to be the largest food scrap hauler in the state of Connecticut. We've moved on from those Volkswagens and now have full-scale dump trucks, and we actually even purchased our first electric vehicle this past year to sort of round out our goals and our missions around being the most environmentally responsible company that we can possibly be. So just to put it very simply, we exist to expand these resources, and I think a really important part of something that what Jen said is that these solutions do exist and they're local solutions. Composting is a local solution that will help us to be able to address this waste crisis that we're in and do it in a way that is good for the environment, good for the local economy, and hopefully good for people's pockets, as we know that the price of MSW is only headed into a bad direction. I think we've hit on all those things, but just in case you didn't already get an idea about it, where we exist in sort of the framework of waste is we are the hauler. We pick up from the customers, from homes, businesses, events, and we bring it to the processing facilities. Next slide. Just to give you a little bit of idea about our scale, our scope, our expertise. We've been able to accomplish quite a lot in our almost 9 years. We service most of the state of Connecticut with about 1,500 households. All of that is subscription based at this point. Commercially, we service about 250 locations. We work with some municipalities, and that's going to be a much bigger growth development over the next 6 months, year, even into the 2-3 years from now, is municipalities starting to separate at the curbside, but also municipalities thinking about it through transfer stations, has been mentioned by Jen as well, and also commercial districts. Some municipalities have the businesses within their downtown district under local municipal hauling, and like Middletown, have the ability to offer these services, food scrap hauling for businesses, to everybody in that district, in that sanitation. They call it the sanitation district of Middletown. And through that, they've actually been able to reduce their tip fees for overall. Every ton that we divert for the city of Middletown, they save a couple dollars on their overall hauling fees. So it's a pretty interesting model. It doesn't apply for every municipality, it doesn't apply for every business. But if it works for anybody who's in this room or anybody in NVCOG, it's a really great way to start to tackle this issue. We work with everybody from the corner cafe up to multinational organizations and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure out and be the resource for anybody where they're at that time. And I think that that's kind of the across the board what you're seeing in the industry altogether. Next slide. I think just one more slide about this, just to give you an idea about the environment, because I know that there's a lot of different things that we're talking about when we're talking about this stuff. The environment is always really core for us. So we use data from the EPA. They have a model they call the WARM model, which is the waste audit reduction model. I believe that's the right acronym. They compare, like, if you throw this much food away versus if you compost it, what does that do to the environment? And you can see on the right hand side, that's kind of an idea about what our impact has been as a business. And on the left side, it's I think just a really good context. We've talked very much locally about what waste means to us, but also this is a global issue. If you took all of the food waste in the world and took the greenhouse gases that are emitted by throwing that away or incinerating it, it would be the 3rd largest greenhouse gas emitter in the world if food waste were its own country, right behind China and the United States. So this is a massive issue. It's not something that is just impacting us locally. It is a major driver of climate change. So that's something I lastly wanted to highlight, and I think we'll start to get into the nuts and bolts here for anybody who's trying to understand how this would work at your business. So logistically, the people who can help separate these food scraps out from the waste stream are going to provide you with containers, just like if you were getting it picked up from your dumpster. You can get it picked up in carts, rolling carts with flip top lids. You can get it picked up in dumpsters. And if you're a large distributor or manufacturer, to give you an example, like if you were CT Food Share as a customer of ours, they obviously are in the recovery. They're trying to make sure that they are working within that hierarchy of the EPA, that if we can recover food for people who need it, let's do that. But they also get a lot of spoiled food, like tons and tons and tons of spoiled food. So we pick that stuff up on pallets. So that's not like generally how it works for every business. It just goes to show that there are many different solutions for many different types of customers. And with these, moving on with the logistics, businesses like ours, I'm not sure if all other businesses that do the service can do cleaning on site. The water that's used in the cleaning process goes back into the truck, so it doesn't end up on customer sites. So that actually helps to kind of move past one of the major barriers for people helping separate this stuff out, is that always have a stigma around things being clean. Well, if you can go that extra step, like a business like ours tries to do, it might help break down some of those barriers to people accepting this stuff. And then lastly, we can take meat and dairy. Almost anybody who composts on an industrial scale can do that. There's also compostable wares nowadays. There's like products like actually these cups, the cups that we've been given today. Those materials can be composted. They just have additional kind of considerations that you need to think about and talk with your hauler about if you want to be able to do that. And just moving down the line on logistics, at least from our perspective, and I think a lot of the haulers are going to try to do these things. You know, I'm biased, I think we do it better, but we have bilingual signage that we use. We do training, we do hand holding, just like what CET can also offer. And we have 24/7 customer support. And I think lastly, and this is really helpful for a lot of businesses that are maybe on the fence about wanting to do this, or municipalities that are on the fence, is being able to talk about this with your constituents, with your customers and clients. Being able to talk about this in a way that that people will respond to. So we've put in a lot of emphasis and focus on being able to give weight reporting and sustainability metrics, much like that graphic that I gave you at the beginning, and help them with presence both at the restaurant, if it's a restaurant, or with their clients at a corporate office, and also online. And our service territory is all over Connecticut and also Massachusetts. Quantum Biopower was mentioned earlier. That is one of the major places that food scraps are being processed right now in the state of Connecticut. They are the big dog. They can take in about 100 tons per day. They could take the packaged waste like I was talking about. So they could take, you have pallets and pallets of cereal boxes that need to be disposed of. They have material handlers that can take the food out of those boxes and then recycle what they can of cardboard or plastic or metal, and obviously take the food and turn it into a fertilizer and electricity at the same time. There are other facilities in the area that are used by us and by others. New Milford Farms in Connecticut. Scara is a outdoor windrow site that's being developed in Stonington, Connecticut. 360 Recycling in Vanguard, just over the border. And more of these facilities are going to be built in the coming years. A really interesting thing that Jen brought up was the sort of this new model around transfer stations becoming more localized, medium scale composting facilities. We really look forward to that being a very successful template for other places, because it's something that, you know, speaking frankly, that's something that we're very interested in working with municipalities on, is using these underutilized transfer stations with all these leaf composting and being able to make a really high quality product that can be used for sale. So if there's anybody interested in talking about that as well, please let me know, because I'm a resource. So the benefits, when you're thinking about it from the perspective of you're a small business owner, you're any kind of business owner, you want to know what's in it for me, obviously. The environment is an easy kind of tangible way. Like most people who work with food understand that it's not supposed to go in the trash. That's like a pretty like innate feeling. I know that that's why I'm in this business, because I've actually moved to Hartford, Connecticut in 2016. And I had been growing up composting my whole life. And as soon as I got to the city, I was like, well, what do? I can't just throw it in the backyard anymore and make my compost pile. And that's actually how I found out about Blue Earth. I was a customer, and then I became the first employee, and I'm a part owner. A little bit away from that divergence, but the environment is what we all understand about this. The soil is a climate solution. By reinvesting the nutrients, the organic value that's in those food scraps, we are helping to regenerate. We're putting the cycle back together rather than breaking it apart when it gets landfilled and incinerated. The economy is where this is really starting to develop. We've already started talking about how tip fees are going up on MSW. Composting, the tip fees are much lower already than MSW. That has been sort of the paradigm for a while. What hasn't been the paradigm is sort of the density. Like if I am a trash hauler and I've been well established, I can stop at 50 stops in one town in one day and pick them all up. If I'm a compost hauler, which I am, I only have 5 customers in that same town. So I don't have that same density. It's a little bit harder for me to offer pricing that is competitive. That dynamic is starting to change though, with MSW tech fees going up higher, and also the fact that my business and the other businesses that provide these services are getting a little better established. So if you are a generator that has a lot of food, or you're a generator that is in an area of high density, there's a pretty good chance that this won't actually cost you anymore, and might even save you money depending on what your prices for waste hauling are. And then lastly, you know, there is a serious benefit to community as well. I mean, landfills and incinerators are a major source of local pollution. Hartford itself has, and Bridgeport is probably similar to this, has some of the highest asthma rates in the nation. It is a serious public health issue that mostly Black and brown communities are having to deal with. People who are marginalized because they might not have the same amount of wealth as well. So there's no reason why they should be taking an undue burden on this of this pollution. But that's a system-wide problem. That's something we all have to be thinking about. Once we start trucking more of this stuff out of state and putting it in somebody else's backyard, that's not an improvement. That just means more carbon emissions to get it to there. And then once it's there, it's not doing anything good for anybody. So we need to be thinking about our community, improving public health. And then a really important thing is that composting, according to Bureau of Labor Statistics data, composting creates 3 times more jobs than MSW. So that's also a really important part of this argument. I know that, like, when you are a business owner and you are living, you are paycheck to paycheck, and you're constantly thinking about your margins, these higher order things are hard things to think about. But we hope that, you know, over time, they will tip the scales, and we'll see more full scale stuff. And on the bottom, you can, I actually already pointed that on a different slide, but just so we can move on. Pricing, and this is obviously a big part of the thing. I just want to hit home on this. I'm using some data from a customer that we recently took on. They are a large scale grocery store. You'd recognize the name if I said it. They're paying 110 plus per ton to get, if they throw food scraps in the trash. We gave them a price of 93 per ton. So every time that they divert a ton of material, they're saving $17 plus. So this is possibly at this point now an economic argument, and I'm just hoping that really tips the scales with people. You could turn the food scraps into pollution, or you could turn them into regeneration. Which one are we going to choose? So I think that's it. Yeah, if you want to reach out and find out more about us, if you have any questions, I'm always a resource. There's our contact information, and I also have business cards here if anybody needs them. Are very easy to reach, so just feel free, and I'm happy to be here, and thanks for the opportunity to speak with you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Sam. Great way to sort of tie up all the other stuff we heard about today. With that, I would like to open it up not just to questions to our presenters, but any thoughts, comments, concerns, issues you face. The last sort of, and we're doing great on time, the last sort of half hour of this, first of all, if anybody came in late, I'd like to invite you to please have some lunch. All free, all vegan, all delicious. And if everyone's feeling good, we'd just love to hear some comments, thoughts, and questions. So the floor is open.
I have a question for Sam.
Please.
Sam, my name is Jack Joel. I'm with Preston and Sampson Engineers,
Hey, Jack.
and we do solid waste related consulting, just about anywhere in the chain. My question for you is, in Connecticut, are you back end limited on capacity? And what I mean by that is you have Quantum Biopower as an anaerobic digester site, and then there's another site in Thompson, a farm site, and there's another one under construction in Coventry. And how is that going to impact your business model?
There's no limits in capacity at this point. Quantum has secured a decent amount of tonnage, and they're doing pretty well with that, but Vanguard's just over the border. We're seeing a lot more of these facilities, as you just mentioned, come on board. So what that means for our business, I think, is actually probably a good thing. And so it's always better to have more localized places where we can bring food scraps. we're trying to develop food scrap processing sites ourselves, so that will also help with that. And the more facilities that you have, the more food scraps they're gonna need. And so people will pay lower prices on tip fees to get them. So I think overall, it's gonna be a very good thing for the market, for our business.
Thanks.
Yes,
I'm representing a nonprofit organization, Flanders Nature Center, which is a huge camp situation. Are some of these resources available to something like Flanders also to, figure out how we do things there and use it as a teaching?
Sure. Anna, would these, the resources that CET offers,
Right,
are
yeah.
those available just to businesses or also to nonprofit
Right.
organizations?
I believe they are available to nonprofits as well. I don't think that our contract with Connecticut Deep prevents us from working with that sector. I don't want to say I'm 100% certain since I'm not, I don't oversee the specifics of this program, but I want to say I'm 99% sure yes. What is the type of nonprofit? Yeah, a camp, you said?
Well, in our case, I mean, there's lots of nonprofits, but in our case, the one I'm representing, it's a camp, right? And it's a large camp, 600 children who come in the summertime. And what we're trying to do is create sustainability so they learn about, I mean, not only are we doing it, but also it's a learning situation, right? For them.
Right. Yeah, personally, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to work with you. But definitely, if you want to find out for sure, email or call that number. You can also connect directly with me if you'd like. Okay, great.
Thank you. Uh-huh.
Deep does
We have
also have a
experience-
dedicated page. Just so you know,
Go ahead.
they have a dedicated page to the food waste diversion and their partnership with CET. So if you just go to the Connecticut DEEP website and in the search bar, put CET or food waste diversion, you can get a bunch of links and resources for the program.
Okay.
Yeah, we have experience working with CET in schools.
Uh-huh.
And I know that that's not in the nonprofit field, but I bring that up to show that it's not just the business, like for-profit world that
Right.
their scope
Right.
is
Yeah.
limited to.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon. Jerry Lukowski. I'm the Director of Public Works for Southbury. We also have Chuck Liddy, who's Sustainable Southbury, and Dan St. Jean, who's actually at the transfer station each and every day. So it's a good break for him to get some air conditioning and some chow for today. We recently kicked out the commercial residential haulers in Southbury. There's about 1,200 trucks a year coming in. Probably one, I don't want to say the last one, but one of the last few transfer stations that were taking commercial haulers. But what it does for us, and they were tipping for free at our transfer site. And allegedly it was being passed on to the residents, but that's a whole 1 hour conversation. But what happens now is it gives us room to breathe at the transfer station. Because every time a truck was tipping, we had to shut down the line and push off the residents. So at this point in time, we're all in on, kitchen waste scraps. We're all in on glass. We're all in on cardboard. And we're all in on renovating our transfer station. So I know on the glass side, I've been to urban mining. And we're actually probably put down about 200 to 300 linear feet of sidewalk in Southbury using that material from O&G. So we see the value. So, but any help in, could I get a big container for glass at our transfer station? Any help with, I know Chuck is deep into kitchen waste, and we want to start some pilot programs. And the other part, something as simple as cardboard. How do I bale it? Is it a compactor? Is it a baler? Who could purchase it? Who could get it at a cheaper rate, as opposed to, for us, it's going to municipal solid waste or to recycle. So I just wanted to throw that out on the table. And it's great to see, Jen and I talked about 3 to 4 months ago. And I know we're like an adjacent town to her authority. So we're always kind of looking over at Newtown, and the towns that surround us is basically done by HRRA. So
Yeah, and let me just add a little quick context. So if you're not familiar with Urban Mining, they are a Beacon Falls-based company that takes glass and recycles it into construction materials like pavers. So I believe it's called Positive.
yeah, positive.
Pavlon, something? Pavlon, there you go, something.
Right.
Yeah, that's great to hear from Southbury.
Fantastic. That's great.
Any other thoughts, questions?
Well, maybe I'll just add to that last comment that whether you're a municipality or you're a business that is looking to source separate material and separate it and then divert it into a more sustainable system than just waste to energy or landfilling, there are a lot of waste companies, the larger companies that also own the material recovery facilities. They're not just a hauler, who will work with municipalities and businesses on a much better sustainable model and help you reduce the cost. So if maybe the municipality can't afford at the time to invest in a baler to source separate your cardboard, and then you become the broker, unless you have the volume to leverage the pricing, you might be better off leveraging the contract with another company like an Oak Ridge or an All-American, et cetera, to purchase that clean cardboard from you. They will pay you for that cardboard rather than you paying for them to take it away. So those are the kinds of things that you want to look into as a business. And, look at I know we're focusing on businesses. One of the things that always strikes me is so many businesses that have dumpsters in the back of their buildings that are filled with garbage and cardboard. Cardboard has so much value, and it's one of the higher value chains on our recycling markets. And if you're collecting that clean, you don't have to pay for that to get rid of. And when you're putting it into your waste stream, it's a very heavy material, and we pay for our waste by weight, not by volume. You might pay for a larger volume container, but ultimately the cost is bared on weight, not volume. So consider that whether you're a business or a municipality, source separation can actually save you money. Now, there are cases where you might be a construction company and it's going to cost you more to have 3 different containers, one for asphalt shingles, one for maybe gypsum board, and one for fibers. But your end disposal actually may cost you less. So if you work with the right company, you either one may or may not save money, but in the end, what is the impact to the environment? What is the impact to the waste capacity in the state of Connecticut? And really you have to look at it more holistically. So those resources are available, and hopefully we'll see more COGs and resource recovery authorities being more of a resource for our towns and our businesses to sort of help you all guide into a better decision making when it comes to cardboard or organic glass. HRA has 14 municipal drop-off programs for glass right now. We don't pay anything for our glass to be collected. The containers are provided to us. The glass is collected at no cost to our residents, and it's being taken to either Urban Mining or to Strategic Material, which is in South Windsor, and that material is made into bottle-to-bottle or fiberglass. So we know we're keeping it in the state, and it's a smaller footprint, less emissions, and less cost for our towns. So something to consider as well.
Thank you, Jen. If anyone has any further questions? If not, we can wrap up, but feel free to network and schmooze and talk to each other. And thank you so much, everyone, for coming. We will be sending out a recording of this a little later, and hopefully some links to resources. Maybe Anna can check out and answer the question about nonprofit or public sector, so like schools and camps and things like that. And we'll send that to you in an email follow-up. So again, thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and make sure to grab some food. Have a great day.
Thank you.